Good morning, afternoon, evening, everybody. I am Gunarios, and welcome to another episode of the Logical Gamers Podcast. Tonight I'm joined by the usual crew, Mr. Esoteric, Mr. Blanca Kong, and Mr. Hado Wolf. And tonight's episode is going to be kind of a couple of normies looking at a legal dispute that's currently brewing between the Japanese company Sony versus the Chinese company Tencent, and how, in my opinion, absolutely nothing is going to happen. So, if you're wondering what this is all about, we're gonna be referencing an article from Game World Observer. Obviously, this article will be linked for your viewing and reading enjoyment. So, I'll read the article. It's very short. This is mostly a visual piece, so that's why I chose this article. So the article starts with the Sony Corporation has filed a lawsuit against Tencent, accusing the Chinese giant of copyright infringement. Sony insists that Tencent's subsidiary team, survival game Light of Mortirum, is a blatant copy of the Horizon series games. Sony indicated that the games share too many similarities. Both are set in a post-apocalyptic future filled with animal-like robots, with humanity reverting to a primitive state. Moreover, the games have a similar visual style. They they even use almost identical fonts. So here we see kind of what Sony is stating their Horizon games look like, and their argument for the Light of Mortium, which is being made by Tencent, is essentially copying their world kind of verbatim. And with these screenshots, I mean, you can kind of draw that parallel. So continuing the article, according to Sony, Chinese developers knew exactly what they were doing. The lawsuit states that in early 2024, Tencent proposed collaborating with its subsidiary, Aurora Studios, to create a joint project within the Horizon universe. Sony declined. Later, Sony discovered that Light of Mortium had already been in development for a year by that point. After the public announcement of the title, Sony reached out to Tencent requesting that they cease the infringement, but they could not reach an amicable agreement. And in this part, we're doing a creature comparison now. So it's showing some of Horizon's monsters. They're mechanized animals, and on the right is Light of Mortium. I'm just gonna say Mortium. They're creatures, and the wolf looking similar. The bison looking less similar. That one you can say is I mean, same color scheme. And the crab monster kind of looks similar. And this wolf-like creature, to me, that looks a little bit different. But I mean, I'm not Sony. So the last bit of the article is it's noted that the official author of the Light of Mortium is listed as the studio Polaris Quest. Sony is convinced that this name is either hides Aurora Studio or another Tencent subsidiary. Sony wants the court to prohibit the distribution of Light of Mortium and order Tencent to pay them compensations of 150,000 for each copyright violation in the game. So that's pretty much the gist of it. Sony is claiming that Tencent is basically using the front of another company to create a game that is, in their opinion, a blatant ripoff of Horizon Zero Dawn. Now, the information that I didn't know that this article brought up was the fact that Sony claims, obviously I gotta use like legal speak because this is all alleged and, not hard facts, is that they came to Sony and says, hey, look, we want to make a spin-off game set in the Horizon world. How do you feel about that? Sony was like, nah, I'm good. I just kind of feel like making Horizon 2 HD remake again. Sorry, we're not interested in that. So they were like, okay, cool. And they just, apparently, according to Sony, they've already been developing this game for a year before they came to them. So it was just like, you can either work with us or work against us. But either way, this game is coming out. So I said in the beginning, I don't think anything's going to come of this. I think Sony's not going to win this because for the simple fact that NetEase is a Chinese company. And for those that don't know anything about Chinese companies and how China reacts to these copyright infringement lawsuits from other countries, they usually look at them and laugh. Nothing happens. They'll appeal to the Chinese government. The Chinese government will say, "Cool story, bro," and the game will come out. We have seen a lot, of Monster Hunter clones coming from China, and Rathalos has been one-to-one copied in that game, among other monsters. Capcom probably went to these companies and said, "Hey, can you guys not do that?" And they were like, "Nah, we're just gonna do that." And the Chinese government was like, "Yeah, pound sand," and Capcom pounded some sand. So that's why I don't think anything's gonna come with this. So besides the article, kind of what I wanted to make this topic about is kind of what's that fine line between like how far is too far when you're making a game that pays homage to kind of like a system or a world. Because if we kind of link this back to the whole Pokemon and Power World thing, Pokemon is taking Power World to court over quote unquote copyright infringements. And how much of that is defending intellectual property rights to I just want to smack down the competition. TLDR, all of us think here it's to smack down the competition. But the question was, what's that line? What's that line between blatant plagiarism and I'm just paying homage to a style of game that, might not get a lot of play? And what's going too far? Should a company go balls to the walls to defend their intellectual property, or is there nuance? And like, what's that line? So that's kind of the branching arguments I wanted to, or branching topics from this article. But anyway, I've spoken enough. I've said a little bit of my initial thoughts. So what say you guys? Is this just a straight up ripoff? Does the fact that this was kind of a project that they wanted to make an official Horizon spinoff. Sony said no, so now they're just developing it. Does that change things? And if you guys remember this, why does this sound like the origins of the PlayStation 1 to me? So somebody can explain that if they want to bring that up. But I'll pass it off to whoever wants to take it.
I guess I'll go. And by the origins of the PlayStation 1, are you referring to that whole dispute that they had with Nintendo where they were supposed to collab and then that fell through? So Nintendo decided to go with Panasonic. And
yes.
Okay, yeah.
And that's how we got the PlayStation that we all know and kind of love.
Yeah, Sony was like, fuck it, I'll do my own shit since you don't want to work with me. I mean, back then, there were distinct differences between Nintendo and Sony. With Sony games being on disc and Nintendo using cartridges, and like just the differences of the IPs that they created as well. But if you guys want to kind of delve deep into that as the viewers, you're more than welcome to. I'll post some information pertaining to that as well in the description. But moving forward, I mean, there is a saying that goes, imitation is the greatest form of flattery, right? So, I mean, in this particular case, right, it's really, in an overall view, it's really difficult to gauge, uh, you know, things that are blatantly ripped off versus things that are just being utilized. Like it's hard to kind of gauge those things, considering the fact that yes, I do see here that if you look at the one-to-ones of what this game has created, light of Mortaram versus the Horizon franchise, you can see where there's a lot of similarities, right? But then it's like, okay, well, is the gameplay going to be the same? What is the premise and whatnot? Like, how is the game going to play in its entirety? From what I'm seeing, based upon this one image, it kind of looks very Monster Hunter esque, where it's a four-player squad and they're instead of hunting actual monsters, they're hunting mechanical beasts. That's what it looked. That's what I gauge from it. But I can understand why Sony would be a little upset, considering the backstory that they allege, stating that this company wanted to work with us, we said no, and they already had stuff in development, so they just took. One can assume that they just took all the assets that they were already working on and kind of showcased them, and based upon that, given the attentions of like, hey Sony, we want to work with you guys. We like the Horizon franchise. We want to make a spin-off off of it. I can kind of see that their Sony statement seems to be somewhat plausible. It's like, or their whole situation seems plausible, because if you just look at the robots alone, like they're practically almost one to one. Like if you just look at it, if you squint your eyes, kind of like you'll be like, oh yeah, they look almost one to one. You can see differences between the robots and whatnot, but you can see that the inspiration was heavily drawn from the Horizon franchise. Um, Even down to the main picture, the Tremor Tusk. Like you see the little ridges of the trunk. You see the little like the tusks that are coming out. The only difference that I see is that it's the color scheme and kind of like the uh I guess you could say maybe the what appears to be the texture of the robot. And it's missing like the extra tusk that the Tremor tusks have. Like I have it displayed back there. It's probably gonna be hard to see. Um, but yeah, you can see that inspiration was heavily drawn from this. Um, Now, honestly, I don't know if they have a case. I'm not sure as to like what the legalities would be. Um, because again, they do look the same, but they made them, I guess, different enough. Maybe it's hard to gauge. It's hard to gauge. I really can't say. I really can't say. Um, and my question is, did they do this with the intent to smack Sony in the face? Because it's like, well, if you guys are not gonna let us use your assets, we're just going to make mock-ups of your assets with some subtle twist and just like give you guys a shaft. Like I don't know, guys. I'm not sure, but I'll speak more. I'll give somebody else time to speak, and I'll speak more about it as the you know conversation unravels.
All right, I guess I'll go. Um, so my first knee-jerk kind of like response to reading this is I think Sony is just afraid of competition. That's my argument with the whole Nintendo Power World deal. I think that Nintendo and Pokemon Company are threatened by the potential of having a strong competitor in the space, and they don't want to give up any kind of leverage when it comes to dominating a particular category in video games. And I think Sony is just exhibiting the same behaviors. Some people might argue with me on that, the whole Nintendo being scared of Power World. And that's fine. We can have that discussion, but I think it's the same thing. That's what I take away.
Okay.
I don't see. I'll drop it in the chat. I don't see Sony giving money to Ninja Theory for Enslaved Odyssey of the West, which came out almost a decade before Horizon Zero Dawn. There's a lot of similarities with that game to Horizon, and I didn't. Nobody brought that up, right? Because well, it's a different game, different characters, different lore. There's a lot of similarities with the world building and stuff, and even the design of certain
Good
creatures to
point.
certain
Yeah.
characters. But it was different enough to where it was his own thing, and it just occupied similar space. To me, this is the same thing. This when I see when I see this, I could see Horizon for sure. I'd be like, oh, this is a new Horizon game. Like I could make that mistake. but that's because it occupies very similar space. Same could be said about Power World and Pokemon. You could or Digimon and Pokemon. Like some people, you ask just the a person who's uneducated on either franchise, if you show them a picture of, you know, maybe a lesser known Pokemon, and you ask them, is this a Pokemon or a Digimon? It's a coin toss. Like they may or may not get it right, and it's going to be a total guess. Is does that mean that Digimon or Pokemon should take each other to court? No, it just means that these are similar things and there's some parallels. That's just art, man. These guys have to get their head out of their ass and just accept that there's going to be other people clawing for the spot that Sony currently has. And the Chinese are known for being copycats. Like that's not new. They plagiarize and they rip off things all the time, not just video games, but just technology products. Like that's what they do. They see something, they copy ninja that shit, and they go, okay, well, we're just gonna mass produce it for half the price. That's what they do. It is what it is, and so seeing that they're surprised is weird to me, and that they're trying to take them to court is just. I feel like this is a losing battle. Um, and I think it stems from fear of a competition. They don't want people to have alternatives. Sony was the one who were fighting against crossplay being a thing. Why would they be against that? Well, they don't want other people to have the choice of going over to PC or Xbox or Switch if they, if they could force them to be on PlayStation and they force them into that ecosystem. That's preferable. And from a business standpoint, I understand that, and I don't really blame them for that, but I am not in their business. I am not their executive, so I'm gonna look at it and speak to it from a consumer standpoint because that's what I am, a consumer at the end of the day.
Hmm.
I think competition is good. I think if Sony was confident in their studio and their ability to create unique games that are great, I don't think they would have anything to worry about, right? Monster Hunter had a ton of competition in the 2010s. A bunch of different studios tried to create hunting style games, and they all failed. None of them were able to reach the heights that Monster Hunter reached. Why? Because, well, Monster Hunter was better. So if Horizon is just a better game, it will succeed every single time. So this just screams to me a fear of competition. This screams to me insecurities in the IP and what they actually don't believe in it. That's what I get from it, and I hope that the Chinese studio that's working on this game blows them out of the fucking water because Sony needs a swift kick in the ass. That's my opinion.
So, my only thing to not counter, but to push back on it a little bit is I think I would agree with you if we're talking about Power World. That I 100% agree that it is fear of competition because I think Power World in its world and its pals for the most part. You can draw some correlations, and people have done that.
Hmm.
They are very different. Like the world, the storyline, what you set out to accomplish is very different than Pokemon. If I loop it back to this Horizon and Mordia game, to me, it screams way more blatant copying because it's not so much the creature designs that are similar. It's literally the premise for the game. It's like set in a post-apocalyptic world where it's mecha robots that are high technology and humanity has been bumped down to the stone age where we use primitive weapons like bows and arrows and spears and dress in furs mixed with metal skin. Like they they could have made a game where it was the same premise as Horizon, but set in the future. And we have mecha suits and mecha armor, and we shoot assault rifles. Much like Power World is different than Pokemon. Pokemon does not have guns. Power World has guns. So I think this is different and a more compelling case for um, clear copying, clear plagiarism because the world building is literally the same. If Pal World did the same and you were collecting pals to be the pal master, I would agree more with Nintendo. So in this one, I'm no Sony simp. They don't write my checks. But in this one, I do agree more with Sony that this looks like blatant plagiarism than just a new form of competition in the mecha hunting monster arena style.
Yeah, and I would say also to
I
add
did
to.
have a counterpoint, but
Oh, I'm
I'll let
sorry.
you. No, it's cool. It's
Yeah,
cool.
I was just
Go
gonna
ahead.
say to add to that, like, you know, I think what also kind of pushes that plagiarism narrative is, and again, this is alleged, the premise of Sony's backstory. Like, hey, these guys came to us because they wanted to collab with us on this particular project, which takes place in the Horizon lore, and then they came out with all these assets that look super similar to to Horizon itself. After Sony said no, I think if that story is true, because honestly, companies have been known to not always tell the truth when it comes to certain things. If that is true, I think that would be like the driving force of like them blatantly plagiarizing and whatnot. But I guess I know you're gonna counter Gunner's point, but I also wanted to ask. Well, I'll ask the question once Wolf chimes in with his point. So yeah, you can go ahead with your counter.
Well, the only thing was gonna say, it was not so much a counter, but it's also just something to point at. This game isn't out yet. We Power World has been out for a while now, and people have played Power World, so we're able to make that discernment between the two, which we probably couldn't beforehand. If you just looked at screenshots and stuff, I think there'd be a stronger case for plagiarism back then versus after Power World's been out and we played it and we understand the lore and story building. This is to Gunner's point.
Oh yeah.
um, we can give that to Power World and say, well, it's different enough. And we don't know if that's the case with this game, right? We don't know who the main character is. We don't know what the actual story is. We just kind of know the surface level stuff, that there are these robot animals and it's post-apocalyptic, and the humans of the world kind of dress in similar garb to the characters in Horizon. Like that's pretty like far. That's pretty wide to me. It's like a stretch. It's like it's close. They occupy the same space, but I don't know if they're exactly the same. And we won't know until this game comes out. If it does come out, it may never come out. And
Mm.
so, we don't know, right? Right now, we're just looking at screenshots, and you look at screenshots of any two game, like I mentioned, Enslaved. If we pull up screenshots of Enslaved, I'm pretty sure nobody could tell. Like, if you took off the headers and be like, okay, well, which one's Horizon, which one's Mortarim, and which one's Enslaved, people, it's coin toss. It's like, I don't know, the robot dog from, like they're all robot dogs. What the fuck. So I don't know. I hear what you're saying, but we don't know enough about this other game to really say outright it's blatantly copying. I mean, obviously it's heavily inspired, uh, and I think that was on purpose. Like, and but how many other games have this theme? Like, why are we pretending like Sony has the fucking monopoly on post-apocalyptic robot games? Like, what? So I don't know. To me, it's ridiculous, and I don't see them using that $150,000 um, fee or copyright infringement fee. They're not going to pay that and divvy that out to other companies and studios who made similar games to Horizon before Horizon came out. So, like, my stance is Sony needs to shut the fuck up and take the L. But that's just me, though.
Okay, what say
All right.
you,
I
Wolf?
mean, yeah, fair points.
Um, that's to me, it's a hard fight because it's not a hard fight. It's unique because it's like this is like what Capcom tried with SNK, with Ryo, and the Kyokugen characters using Shotokan style character movesets and still losing the lawsuit, which obviously those characters was heavily inspired by, you know, the Street Fighter characters. Um, so in fairness, an uppercut is an uppercut. So a metal dog is a metal dog, or a metal elephant is a metal elephant, or post-apocalyptic is post-apocalyptic. in same similar vein of Power World and Nintendo. Um, an electric rat, I guess it's an electric rat, and it's gonna be similar in nature where anything that's electric based, especially if it's in that style of creature art style stuff, it's going to be most likely yellow if it's an electric based creature. Or if it's a fire based creature, chances are it'll have some red to it or whatever. But but the I think they're both right and wrong at the same time, in my personal opinion. I think they're both right in the sense of where certain things shouldn't be so blatant, in terms of like copy or inspiration. But then at the same time, I think they're also wrong because one, we're in a day and age where so many different creature ideas have been invented, so many different artists have put their artwork out there, and people are gonna have similarities. You know, it's gonna be a nat. It's to me, it can be considered natural where it's just natural for people to have similarities. But but I don't know. I really don't know what to say to this because it's like it's for me it's water under the bridge at this point. It's like you don't really you can't really expect a IP's idea to be 100% original. You really can't. Um, but I don't think one thing I don't think it's necessarily fear of competition 100%. I think it's more so with at least them being Japanese companies. I think it's more so maybe pride. Like maybe they're more concerned on another IP is building name off of something that is similar to what they have developed or created or worked on or built. Um, but then again, they're a company that's designed for profit, not non for profit. So competition is obviously something that they are going to think about, and if they feel like something can overthrow their current IP, then they're probably going to want to shut it down. However, this game is not out yet to see if people will even like it. You know, like the game can look amazing. The game can they can present the game to be played because I've seen some gameplay on it. If I think it's the same game that I've seen gameplay on it, and it seems really fast paced. Um, if that is the game that I saw, like a quick trailer of or like a quick gameplay of, it seems fast paced. So it doesn't seem like it's exactly the same game as like Horizon, which is a little slower pace. You're sneaking around at times, or at times you got to get straight forward. You're fighting robots and humans. To my understanding, in Horizon, they were bad people too, or opposing people,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
right?
All right.
So right. So I don't, and from what I saw, I don't see anything like that where it's like opposing people. But if it's post-apocalyptic, most likely in some update down the line or somewhere in the game, that's going to be opposing humans. Um, I don't know. I just think that in a way, you guys are right to where they say it's like, okay, well, just let it go and just let the IP live up to time. When Power first came out, it was over 2 million players. Now there's barely 200,000 players, if that much. The last time I seen Power player base was like 30,000 people. That's 1, 2, 3% of the amount of people who will buy a Pokemon game. It's like it's so even if Nintendo drops a lawsuit, and even if Nintendo, just lets Power exist, unfortunately, it's a game that's considered what flavor of the month. Is that how you say the terminology? Like like people have already given up on it. 2 million a year and a half ago. down to what, 30,000? You what are you arguing with this for?
Yeah,
At
thirty
you
one
like
thousand is players right now
right
as we're talking,
as we're
and
as we're talking.
50,000 24-hour peak. So it's not anywhere near. It was a flash in the pan.
Yeah. So it's like as much as the general consensus in, when they're comparing Pokemon to Powerwall, may want to prefer Powerwall more because Powerwall is the adult Pokemon game because of the guns and the whatever. In the end of the day, the franchise, the nostalgia of the franchise shows test it beats the test of time, and it still it's still gonna, like, I can promise you when AZ comes out, and as I know the game is going to have its glitches. I know the game is going to be subpar to old Pokemon games. I know that people are going to criticize the game for it being ugly, maybe because I guess a lot of people don't like the art style of Pokemon anymore. It's going to get its criticism, and it's really not introducing any new Pokemons. It's just reusing old Pokemons and putting it in a quote unquote new game. And that game is going to sell, I can promise you, maybe 10, 20 times more than the amount of people that's playing Power right now. So, what are we fighting for? It's like you've already proven your dick is bigger. It's like, what are you fighting for? So I understand the point where they say it's like, oh, fear of competition, because when the game came out, it was a large player base. But the only thing I blame Powerwall for, one of the major things I blame Powerwall for, which is blatant copying because no other monster catching IP does it, is putting the monsters in the little spheres and how the animation is done. It is. I'm gonna die on the hill. It is a blatant ripoff of how the Pokeball, Ultra Ball, Master Ball, whatever ball you want to use in the Pokemon games. It is a blatant ripoff of
Yeah,
how they're caught.
I don't think anybody would disagree
Right?
with that. Yeah,
So that definitely needed to change. Some of the monsters have extremely striking resemblance to a lot of the Pokemons as well. But like I said again, it's hard to come up with, like, if you told me to create 10 monsters right now, to be honest, I'm gonna think of maybe three monsters from Monster Hunter. I'm gonna think of maybe three monsters from Pokemon, three monsters from Digimon. Like, my brain is gonna go into monsters from Yu-Gi-Oh! My brain is gonna go into my resources of the content that I grew up on or the content that I know of, and something is gonna look like something. You know, I remember when we was doing animation in college, and our 3D designer professor, he wanted us to actually make a model of something, anything that comes to mind. And as Kong knows, he knows that I always have this internal love for like machinery and robot designs and stuff like that. So I made a robot, and without even thinking about the robot or thinking about how the design was coming out, when I finished it, he praised it. He liked it, our professor, of course. But it was Zeta who pointed out to me that it looked a lot like the Eureka 7 robot. I didn't think about it when I was making it. Eureka 7 was the last anime I saw, which happens to be a robot, and it just fell into line, and my brain went, let's, like, by the end of the robot sculpture that I created, he said to me that, Dev, that looks like Eureka 7. And I was like, oh crap. So I had to, I mean, at that time I was already done with it. It's not like I was selling it, so I just put the project in a file and then it disappeared out of my mind. But that's what I'm saying, is like, if you tell someone to create something that's post-apocalyptic where the creatures are made of robots, chances are they're going to go into some kind of resource where they may end up coming across Horizon. And if Sony and this company was already in talks of sharing their IP or their assets to create this IP, then really, what were you expecting? Like, was you expecting completely fresh ideas? No, you're sharing your assets. So therefore, some of the assets is going to bleed, or ideas or designs is going to bleed into that IP. That's natural. That's just a natural thing. If I grew up on Power Rangers. Do you know how the in one season of Power Rangers, the Beetleborgs were bad guys. No one notices that.
Yep.
In the Forever Red episode where all the Red Rangers came together, two of the Beetleborgs were there as bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
And we know Beetleborgs to be a superhero show that we grew up with along with Power Rangers. So when you share IP or when you share assets, it's gonna bleed into the IP regardless. So like let's come on, let's just have a little more confidence in our in your franchise and just let the test as time prove. Like if Horizon already has a fan base, and I'm pretty sure that fan base is looking to the next set of Horizon games. And if they just dropped a half-ass Horizon mobile game, it'll probably outdo that whole IP that China just pushed that China wants to push out. But I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's the pride of not wanting a company to be successful off of their hard work. At the same time, it also is suppressing the potential competition that they can face in the future with an IP. But kudos to Capcom, who has all these competitions or all these Monster Hunter clones, and they just let the franchise rock. They focused on themselves. I don't recall them even trying to do any kind of lawsuits for Monster Hunter like IPs. And look where it is now. Very extremely successful franchise, even though we have our grievances with it. It's a very successful franchise. There are players who do love it. And all those clones are where? In the trash can somewhere. They're dead, they're buried, they're gone. So, and even this with Powell, it's proving that Nintendo didn't even need to step foot into it because, like, I knew or I had that inkling where Powell was just for the moment because in today's day and age, video games that are coming out, they're for the moment. Even if the company is trying or is attempting for them to last long, they're for the moment. Powell has now even taken another. What's the company that does Powell that makes Powell?
Uh, Pocket Pair, I believe they're
Pocket
called.
Pair has
Yeah.
now even taken it to where their ads on YouTube is advertising that you can play Powerwall on your mobile device as if it's a mobile game. You don't need like you don't see Nintendo doing additional advertising for Pokemon. I don't even think they have commercials for it. To be honest, it's you say the franchise and people run. So and people run for it.
They
So
have
it's
commercials, but
Yeah.
I don't feel like they need
yeah,
them to
Yeah. They.
advertise.
exactly
Yeah.
right.
Pokemon has cemented themselves in the
They've
gaming sphere
cemented
forever.
themselves, right? But now Powerwell is like, oh well, you know what? You can play off your mobile game, and then they're now putting money into these really cheesy acting where the actors are. I'll post some so you guys can see it. It's so hilarious. But what I'm saying is that it's again these new games coming out, including this one that's supposed to come out from Tencent. It's flavor, and it's gonna roll over because that's what gaming is today. Nobody is sticking with the franchise. They'll play it. People are gonna play it for a week or two, and then they're gonna move on to the next game, or they're gonna go back to whatever old game they were playing before. So all these lawsuits to me is a waste of money. Donate it to me. If you're gonna pay your lawyers all those thousands of dollars, donate half of that to me. Change my life.
Shit, I'll take 10% of that shit.
Exactly. Just change my life.
Hell, I'm good with five. I'm not. Beggars can't be choosers. I'm okay with that. You know what I'm saying? Um, but yeah, I mean, I see like all your points, Wolf. I do. I definitely see it. While you were talking, I was looking at gameplay for the Mortaram game, and it's it's like 80% night and day from what Horizon gameplay is versus what they were offering. It gave me like an MMO slash builder slash Monster Hunter type of vibe. And I'm gonna put the gameplay in the description, or I'm gonna like edit some of the footage in the video just for reference. But it's different enough. It's definitely different enough. What I think it is that the art. I think what motivated the lawsuit, honestly speaking, is the, again, if true, the origin of the story of like, hey, we want to work with you. It's like, screw you, we don't want to work with you. All right, you know what? Bet we're just gonna take your shit, make some slight deviations, and we're gonna make our own stuff, and that's pretty much what we got today. But like my question that I wanted to ask you guys was, when should a copyright lawsuit be implemented? Like when should, in particularly with games, like when should it be like, oh hey, this is a complete, well, let me not say complete one to one, but this is a one to one of our IP, and we want to cease and desist on the development of this game. Like, what would constitute a blatant like?
It's hard to say, but
Mhm.
for me, I think a good starting point is there has to be there has to be parallels parallels you know, like both the main characters have to look kind of similar and act similarly and move
Okay.
similarly. The world building has to be similar. Plus, the enemy design has to be similar. Plus, the you know the story has to be similar. Plus, the gameplay has to be like there has to be a lot of similarities. Like there's got to be like 6 or 7 across the board. It's like there's no question this is the same game,
Okay.
just with a different skin. To me, because to me it's like if you take this concept and you apply it to like culinary arts. If I open up a pizzeria and there's a pizzeria down the street from me who's been there for 30 years, and I decide to sell pizza with similar toppings, like, oh, I have pepperoni as well, and they come at me, cease and desist, you can't put pepperoni on your pizzas anymore because we invented pepperoni pizza. You know, like that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? And so somehow it's expected to work here. I think it's ridiculous. So I don't know. That's my response to what you were asking.
So my response to that, I guess, would be kind of what I mentioned before, like the straight Monster Hunters that we saw coming out of the Wild West days of the PSP. Like I remember, some of you
Or
guys would
Ragnarok
share.
Odyssey.
No. I'm talking about like ripoffs. Like Rathalos is in Shenshu Fighter Z. Like it's Rathalos. My man is there. They didn't. It's not Rathalos like. It's Rathalos. They took the sprites and they took the model from Monster Hunter Freedom Unite and put it in Zen Fighter Z. Like that's how bad it was. So at that point, that's sure. That's cease and desist. But again, it loops back to what I was saying about how companies work in China. The government is very protective of their companies, and they don't really recognize international copyright disputes. They just don't. So this could have been a character called Lao instead of Aloy, or fuck it, it could have just been Aloy. Like it could have been Aloy, and they made her they changed her face to make her look more in line with the Chinese audience.
Excuse
And
me, it's
Sony
Alloy. It's a metal. Okay, her name was an actual name. That's what they probably argue.
and China and then NetEase like CCP. What do you have to say for this? Fuck off. Go back to Japan. And that's exactly what's gonna happen. So to answer your question, it would have to be that like a blatant ripoff. Like they put Aloy and they slapped her in this game, which it doesn't look like they did. It's just I don't know. My only hang up is you guys are right. Sony does not own the license for post-apocalyptic world games where I fight mechs, but it's like, bro,
Yeah, yeah.
like it really in like the this similar of a world, like even zombie and try to differentiate. 28 Days Later is different than Night of the Living Dead. It's still a zombie flick, but at least they try to like, well, our virus rabies. It's not space dust that came from a meteor that turned people into zombies. So at least they try. We know it's a zombie. It's the same shit, but at least they try. This seems like less of a try. That's my only hang up. In which I get Sony would have to like, yeah.
Maybe, but like,
At
bro,
this
if
point,
you
that's just
ask like, oh, I'm gonna need you to make a robot dinosaur. Like, how different? Like,
It'll be
how different can it
it'll
get?
be
that
Dinobot.
that is so tough.
It'll look like a transformer or it'll look like a Power Ranger Megazord.
But here's
How
my
different can it really get?
You're gonna step on somebody's toes.
but here's my
You're right.
Right.
No, you're
but here's
absolutely
my
right. Yeah.
question though in regards to this. Like, it seems as though they made monsters specifically within the Horizon world, right? There could have been other monsters that they could have utilized, but from what I'm seeing here, they made the dinosaur looking, they made the wolf version, they made the ram, and they made the crab, which, you know, the crab was like I wasn't even expecting a crab robot in Horizon.
That's like
Um,
you could tell they were digging for similarities. But go ahead.
okay, so that's what you're saying. They're digging for similarities. Okay.
Yeah, they were really digging. It was like, yo, we gotta find everything that looks even a little bit like our shit to build our case, which is fair. That makes sense. Like you're building a plagiarism case, you're gonna grab every piece of ammunition you could get your hands on. I'm not
Yeah,
blaming them for
absolutely.
it. It just looks kind of like I don't know. I lose respect for it because it's like, bro, you how about you invest some time and money into like new projects? How about we do that instead of worrying about what these other people are doing? If you're confident in your product, you know what
I
I'm saying? You
I
could pay
get what you're
attention to
saying.
what other people are doing, but to make this a big deal, like I don't know. I feel like it's like small
Yeah.
potatoes. Like
I mean,
Sony's above this, in my opinion, or they should be.
unfortunately, people like or companies like Nintendo have normalized. I know this word has a political thing to it. Lawfare, like Nintendo has used lawfare to stamp down competition, and it looks like Sony is like, well, hey, look, Nintendo is doing good. I mean, it doesn't look so great. Power World. Wolf brings up a good point of, Power World's just kind of, it's not dead. It's not a dead game, but it's a game in the rotation now. It's like you have your hardcore Power World enthusiasts, and it might get a bump with every new update that comes out. But
Mm-hmm.
it had its moment in the sun, and now it's just around. It's a game. It's a game you can play. But yeah, Nintendo has normalized lawfare, and I think Sony's kind of, you know, like you guys said, instead of dropping Horizon 3 or you know, letting the game go, well, our world is better, our world's superior, our character is better. So obviously this game will just live and die, and no one will be talking about it 3 months from now, but people will still be talking about Horizon, even though realistically nobody's talking about that game anymore either. And it lost to Zelda twice, but
Because it's
um,
Zelda.
uh, hey, I'm not the one who thought I'm gonna release the Horizon game the same day Breath of the Wild comes out, and they're both open world exploration
Well,
games.
the first Horizon lost to the first Breath of the Wild game, and then the second Horizon game, I think, lost to Elden Ring. I think that
Talk
was what
I,
about
tied it down.
talk about playing Russian roulette
Yes,
and
Elden Ring. Yeah,
losing.
yeah. You're right. That's yeah.
The irony, I
Fact check me
believe, is that they pushed it back from the timeline that they initially had it, and then it just so happens that that timeline aligned with Elden Ring, so they were like stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Not to mention, the some developers on Twitter were complaining and bashing Elden Ring because they were like, "Well, what's the big deal about Elden Ring? Our game is clearly better. Look at their UI." And it felt so petty. I was like, "You're
Yes.
so mad right now. You're so
But
mad."
that doesn't exactly help save the face of the game either.
It
So
sure doesn't. So when you tell me that the Horizon, well, it's not the Horizon developers, but Sony's lawyers are defending Horizon, I just can't help but think about shit like that, and it's just like, fuck those guys. So, no.
hmm,
Well, yeah. Good luck to them. This is not going anywhere. Unlike Power World, like I said before, that's Japanese. So they're both operating on the same part of the world.
Mm.
Um, Tencent is fucking huge. Like they have some of the largest games currently under their belt.
aren't they? Isn't Tencent the one that does Pokemon Unite? I've seen them do. They do something.
I believe so. I think
I think
they're in a lot of shit, bro. They have their hands in a lot of different jars. So I think they are behind. They funded development of Pokemon
they
Unite
are
for sure.
Pokemon Unite. They
Pretty
are.
sure. Pretty sure.
Yeah. Because I just looked up a list of the things they have. It's mostly mobile stuff that they do. Obviously, like they've put their hands in Street Fighter, they've put their hands in Pokemon, they've put their hands in Call of Duty, League of Legends, Wild Rift. They have under their belt. Uh, Apex Legends Mobile, Call of Duty Online, Victory Goddess Nikki, if that's how you
Oh,
say it.
yeah, that's
Right.
the NetEase the NetEase gotcha game. Yeah, that shit just fucking
Yeah,
printing money.
even if I think they'll be fine still, even if Sony gets what they want, they'll still be fine.
Yeah, I mean, hearing your arguments, I'm a little bit more out of not even so much fear of losing our edge. It's more pettiness. It's just like, hey, we don't want you to have a robot primitive man game in the space, and Nintendo's beating up Power. It's just not going to end the same. They're gonna lull XD. This game will come out, and if it does great, well, hey, whatever. It is what it is. I'm not playing it either way. Um, I'm not. I mean, like, it is what it is to me. I didn't play Horizon 2. I've only played the first Horizon. I have no interest in playing the sequel to that game either. Good luck
Mhm.
to y'all. But this is not going to go anywhere. That's my final summation. This isn't going to go anywhere.
All right.
Yeah.
All
Agreed.
right.
Are we about done with time?
We're at 52 minutes, so we have some more time if you guys wanna discuss more points.
No, I have a closeout here.
All right, go
If you
for it.
want me to close out, anybody else has more to say about this topic, or
No, I think
Mm-mm.
we pretty much beat a dead
Said
horse
what I
at this
needed to
point.
say. Yeah.
all right. So that marks the end of our discussion. If you enjoyed our talk, please consider leaving a like on the video, hitting the subscribe button. We do episodes like this every week on Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern. Be sure to check out the description below for any related links. So that link to the article will be available. You could check that out. If Esoteric is able to link the gameplay video, or if you're able to add it to the actual video, then just let me know. You can put that in the description as well.
Okay.
Um, check out our social media links. We have a presence on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Discord, and Twitter. Check out our Twitch channel where Mr. Esoteric streams 2 to 3 times a week and plays all kinds of games ranging from indie to retro to even AAA slop like Horizon 2. He does play those games. He does like them, you know,
It never gets
to
old.
his credit. To his credit. To each his own, you know what I'm saying? He might play the Mortium game. I don't know.
Hey!
You might like it more. You never know.
We
He
shall see.
laughs because it's true.
We shall
Uh,
see. I mean, listen. I'm open to it. I am becoming a little more selective about my games because they're going. I first of all, I can't play all of them due to my limited time, and
I know. Come, I'll
if I
finish
am
it for
gonna
you.
if I am gonna purchase games, why not wait until, well, particularly if they're physical, why not wait until they're cheaper to obtain? So, yeah.
yeah, I hear you. I hear you. But I'm just saying, I got to throw a
Hey,
little
that's
jokey
fine.
joke
Listen,
your way.
no guilt here. I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm surviving.
Obviously, you're a consumer. Look at your background. You got all the collector's editions. You don't miss a beat.
not, not all, but you know.
You
No.
got a lot.
Look at your background. It's just hot. It's
All right,
shrouded
fine.
in the darkness. We can see the shit you
Right.
got.
I got a
Dark.
few statues here and there.
What about
Nothing
back
too
there? Where's Yorm the Giant? Where's
He's
Fatalis?
up there.
Where are they? Okay, we can't
He's
see
up
that
there.
shit. You're in this with
Don't
me, sir.
don't collector shame me.
Damn.
But anyway, thank you for listening and watching, and we'll see you next week.
All
Till
right.
next time.
Take care.